It's almost dark on Centre Court. It's past 9 o'clock in the evening in London on the first Sunday of July 2008. The Wimbledon final started in the afternoon and it has simply refused to end. The light is going, real light. The kind you can't switch back on, because this is the last great Wimbledon final ever played without a roof. And the sky is closing over the two men on the grass like a lid. On one side of the net is Rafael Nadal, on the other is Roger Federer, and Roger Federer is trying to save his life. He has already saved 2 championship points. 2 moments where one more Nadal winner ends it, ends the match, ends his 5-year reign as the king of this place, ends the myth that on grass, Roger Federer simply does not lose. He has saved both. He's still standing, in the dark, in the greatest tennis match anyone has ever seen. Hold there, because this is the strange thing about the most important night of Roger Federer's career. He is about to lose it. To understand what's at stake in that darkness, you have to understand what Roger Federer was to people before this night. He was the one who made it look like nothing. Everyone else in tennis grunted and strained and dripped. Federer floated. Christopher Clarey, in his biography The Master, described it exactly, that it is rare to see Federer sweat, that he seemed to have all the time in the world, putting, in the writer's phrase, a final coat of paint on shots that everyone else could barely reach. Opponents said playing him felt like being caught in the Matrix, everything moving too fast for them and somehow slow enough for him. One coach, watching a teenage Federer, said he was playing a boy who was dancing on the other side of the net. That was the aura. Not just that he won, but that he won beautifully, without apparent effort, as if the game were easy and he were merely the one honest enough to admit it. Clarey calls it the beautiful game. The ball striking, the movement, the sense of a man gliding a few inches above the strain everyone else lived in. For 5 straight years he had owned Wimbledon. The grass was his, the place was his. The idea that he could be beaten here, of all places, had quietly become unthinkable. But that surface hid something the public rarely saw. Underneath the calm was a perfectionist who held himself to a standard almost no one could meet. A man who, in Clarey's words, had real difficulty accepting his own shortcomings. As a boy, he'd been a racket-throwing bundle of nervous energy on a razor's edge, so hard on himself that his own father once put a coin on a bench and told him to find his own way home. The serenity the world fell in love with was not the factory setting, it was built deliberately over a furious, emotional kid. And on the biggest nights, the effort it took to hold that serenity together was enormous and completely invisible. And there was one man in the world building the entire career around cracking it open. Rafael Nadal was everything Federer was not. Where Federer floated, Nadal stayed on the ground. Where Federer looked like the game cost him nothing, Nadal looked like it cost him everything. Every point of war, every muscle straining, sweat flying off him by the second game. He'd already taken the one thing Federer wanted most, the French Open, on clay where Nadal beat him again and again, most brutally just weeks before this, in a final so one-sided it left Federer humiliated. Grass was supposed to be Roger's. This was the border Nadal had never crossed, the last place where the beautiful, effortless king was still untouchable. And now here they were, deep into the night, and Nadal would not go away. He had led, Federer had climbed back, saved the championship points, forced it deeper, dragged the whole thing into a 5th set with no tiebreak. A set that could only end when one man finally broke. The crowd could barely see, the players could barely see, and still it went on, game after game in the dying light. 2 completely opposite ideas of how to play tennis, refusing to yield to each other. This is the part that matters. For years, Federer's greatness had been the greatness of ease. This night was the opposite. This was Roger Federer with the ease stripped off him, sweating, straining, hanging on by his fingertips in the dark, fighting for his throne with everything the beautiful game was supposed to make unnecessary. And it turned out he had that in him too. That was the revelation. Not that he was graceful, everyone knew he was graceful. The revelation was that underneath the grace, when it finally came down to it, he could bleed for it like anyone else. He still lost. In the near total darkness in the 5th set, Nadal finally broke through. After nearly 5 hours of tennis, the longest final in the history of the tournament, Rafael Nadal won the last game, fell backward onto the grass, and Roger Federer's 5-year reign at Wimbledon was over. Clarey, looking back across the whole career, calls it plainly one of the 2 greatest matches Federer ever played, and notes the thing that makes it hurt. It was a bitter defeat, in a 5th set that ran past where a normal match would have ended. Think about that. The greatest match of his life, and he lost it. And it broke him. In the moment, in a way, the floating genius was never supposed to be broken. This was the man who made everything look easy, who never seemed to sweat, who carried defeat with the same politeness he carried everything. and this one got past all of it. Weeks earlier, Nadal had already humiliated him on the clay of the French Open. Now, Nadal had come onto the grass, the one surface that was supposed to be sacred, the one place Federer was untouchable, and taken that too. There was nowhere left that was safe. The border had fallen. There was no trophy at the end of this defining moment. There was a man standing in the dark on the grass that used to belong to him, watching another man celebrate on it. The aura, the 5 years, the untouchability, the sense that Roger Federer did not lose here, all of it ended on that patch of grass, at that hour in front of a crowd that could no longer really see. Here's why this night defines him, and not one of the many finals he won. Anyone can be loved when they're winning easily. The floating genius, the man who doesn't sweat, the one for whom it all looks effortless. That man is easy to admire, and a little easy to resent too. There's a distance in perfection. It's hard to fully love someone who never seems to struggle. The 2008 final took that away. For one night in the dark, everyone watched Roger Federer struggle, watching him strain and claw and refuse to fold, watched him leave everything on the grass and still not get it. And something changed in how the world held him. The book is honest about the private truth behind the polished surface, that there was always tremendous toil and self-doubt behind the scenes, that he played in pain far more than anyone realised. The 2008 final was the night that hidden man came out into the open under the lights that were failing for everyone to see. He didn't win the match. What he won was something he couldn't have won by floating. The world finally saw him bleed for it and loved him more for the losing than they ever had for the winning. The great champions are usually defined by the night they proved they could win. Roger Federer, more than by any of his 20 titles, was defined by a night he lost, in the dark on his own grass, in the greatest match ever played. He walked off centre court beaten and somehow after that night, larger than he had been before it.